this video, we're going to talk about 5 ways that you can buy houses with none of your own money. Check this out. My name is Ronald Walker, and I've been investing in real estate now for about 10 years, okay? And I'm your host here on the Forge to Win podcast and here on this YouTube channel. And about 9 years ago, almost 10 years ago, I'm running around Dallas, okay, downtown Dallas, Texas, and I'm putting bandit signs out. All right, I'm running, I'm literally parking, looking around, hitting the corner, pushing, hammering the sign in, running to all 4 corners, and littering the areas with bandit signs. Well, one day I get a call from it, and this guy calls me and says, hey, all the people who you can't buy on a wholesale deal, we can buy their house at full price. Do you know houses that need to be fully rehabbed? We can buy those houses at full price. And I'm thinking, man, you need 20% down the traditional way, right? I'm fairly new. So I'm like, man, I'm just trying to get houses at a cheap discount so I can sell them cash to an investor. What are you talking about? So he's like, look, I'm doing this 2-day course. Come out. You don't have to pay anything. Come out, sit down. I want to partner with people and show them how to do this so we can make some money together. So I go out to this course. And he starts talking to me about creative financing and all these different things. He's throwing out terms like subject to, owner financing, second liens. What is a lien? What is all this stuff? And I'm just like, okay, bro, like you're going over my head. But he pulls out a financial calculator and he's talking up at the top and I'm playing with this financial calculator. And as I do, it just hits me like, yo, finances, you can make a lot of money. Amortization, you can make a lot of money. Oh, and this is why people like putting financing on homes. And it was the first moment where I realized that there was a way to buy houses without using any of my own money that wasn't wholesaling, okay? And that's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about how to do this without wholesaling it. How do you actually acquire these homes? Because this is an amazing way to do it, okay? If you're out there and you're saying, no, that's impossible, Ronnie, there's no way to buy houses without any of my own money. Here's the thing. You're probably right. There is no way for you to buy houses without any of your own money. But if you believe it and you're a little creative, you're a little inventive, you're willing to put the time in, you're willing to bring the energy, then you can do it if you just open up your mind. Just open up your mind and stay with me. So the first way that you can buy a house without using any of your own money is through what's called a lease option agreement. Okay, is a lease option agreement. Essentially, a lease option is you buy the house now, okay, you get control of the house now, and you pay for it later. Just think with me. You get control of the house now, and you pay for it later. You lock in an agreement that allows you to rent the property at a certain price. You take over the repairs, you take over the management of the property, and you give him a payment. And then you have the option to purchase that home at some point in the future. You're essentially guaranteeing rent for another landlord and getting control of that property without having to bring any of your own money. Cool thing is this could be for 3 years. This could be for 5 years. This could be for 10 years. And here's the thing. At the end, you don't have to buy the house if you don't want to. You have the option. You don't have the obligation. You have the option to buy. But imagine that you go into a lease option agreement today, right? You agree on a price. It's a nice home. It's in a good area. You guarantee a payment. You guarantee the construction up to a certain amount, unless it's an insurance claim. And you say, I will take that over if you will give me a discount on price. They give you a discount on price. You take that over. You manage it. You rent it out. And now you have a $400 cash flow. But now, 3 years from now, properties are constantly going up. 3 years from now, let's say that value has gone up by $20,000. You bought it or you took it over at $100,000. You're renting it. It's gone up to $130,000. Well, now you can buy a house worth $130,000 for $100,000 because you locked in your option to buy that house at a certain price today. This is a fabulous way. And here's the other really cool thing about lease options. A lot of times you don't even have to put any money down. You just start renting it. You just start taking it over. You just start guaranteeing it and making it easy for them. This is a fabulous, fabulous way to buy houses without any of your own money. And you don't even have to put money down. Okay? You don't even have to put money down. Another way number 2, that you can buy houses without any of your own money is by what's called subject to. Okay? Now, when I told you that story about that class, that's what he was actually teaching. He was teaching subject to. Now, subject to allows you to buy property, to go in, leave the mortgage of the person that you're buying it from in place, and then in their name, and then you buy the house and they become your lender and you make payments to their mortgage on their behalf. Okay? You continue to make the payments and you buy the property and you take over their mortgage. Now, you don't need to bring any money to the table, right? They might ask for money. They might ask for a down payment. They might ask for something, but you can negotiate that, right? You can come in and say, look, I do this all the time. We actually buy with no money down. If you would like some of your equity, we can give that in monthly installments too. And so now you have subject to, and they have an additional lien on the property. Well, guess what you didn't bring to the table? You didn't bring any of your own money. And you can negotiate that. And now you own this property with a mortgage in the other person's name that you're making payments to without you bringing money to the table. Now, there is some things here, right? You need to do some research on subject to transactions and learn it because, guys, there is some legal stuff there, right? There's what's called a due on sale clause that you have to be aware of. You have to understand what you're taking over and how to service that, right? But all of that's the management, right? If you come in and you manage the property and you bring the knowledge and you understand how to do it, you can do all of that without bringing money. You don't need money, but you can bring knowledge and time and creativity in working with someone and solving their problem, maybe giving them a little bit extra. Whatever that is, you can work all of that out. But guess what you don't need? You don't need any of your own money. So number 2 is subject to transactions. You can buy houses, leave the loan in the other person's name, make payments to that loan on their behalf, and you can own property without any of your own money. Zero down. You might negotiate more, but zero down. How powerful is that? Number 3 way that you can buy property without any of your own money is through what's called a joint venture agreement or JVing on a property. Think of how many times we think about JVing. A lot of times this comes up as, especially if you're new in the wholesaling game, this comes up as an opportunity to partner to do a deal, right? A person brings a buyer and a person brings the deal. Well, that's one way of JVing, okay? Like, guys, I want you to start thinking outside the box. People have been buying businesses for hundreds of years with no money, okay? People are buying full-blown businesses with no money. You can buy properties with no money. But think of this. In a JV agreement, you have 2 people going into a venture, into a business opportunity together. One person could have the money, and one person could bring other value. Now, both people need to bring value, right? Both people need to bring 50-50 value, but you don't need to bring 50-50 money. So here's the thing. 50%, this guy brings the money. You, as the other partner, what are some other things that are valuable? The deal is number 1, right? The deal is valuable. The creativity is valuable. The management is valuable. All of those things you bring to the table, right? Working with them, selling the property, maybe even doing, if there's construction on the property and managing contractors, all of that is value, right? All of that is time. All of that is knowledge. All of that is energy. All of that is creativity. And that can bring 50-50 value. See, if the person with money doesn't have any time, they don't know how to do it, they don't have a deal, they don't have the creativity to make it happen, they can't do a deal. And here's the thing, guys. If you have no money, if you have no time, if you have no creativity, if you don't know the knowledge, if you're not willing to put in the work, if you're not willing to manage it, then yeah, you can't do real estate. This isn't for you. You need to go find another industry and do something else and maybe stay being an employee, right? You can bring value, but it doesn't have to be the money. Now, there's something I do want you to know. When you're buying this, if you go into a joint venture, you want to make sure that the proper contracts are in place. Again, you want to make sure that expectations are lined out, that everybody's on the same page. You don't want 3 months from now being like, you said this, and you're like, no, I didn't, and back and forth. So you do want the proper agreements in place. But once the agreements are in place and there's clarity on the roles, guys, JVing on properties is a wonderful, wonderful way to buy property with no money. And guys, this is something that I want you to know. Like, I have done every one of these strategies, every one of these 5, except for the last one, which I'm going to share with you. And I'm in the midst of getting my first one because I just learned it and I'm super excited to share it with you. Okay. And so by the time you guys see this, I'll probably already be done with it. But I want you to know, I have bought properties using lease option agreements. I have bought properties under subject to. I've actually bought over hundreds of properties subject to, and then turned around and did it on a wrap and sold it. And I'm very, very familiar with that. Buying JV, this is an amazing way to do it. And actually, if you're looking to raise money, this is a great way to build credibility and to start raising money is JVing first before you go into raising money, which goes into my 4th way of buying properties with no money is using what a friend of mine and a buddy that I've connected with recently and got to know through my podcast. A buddy of mine, Brad, he likes to say, use opium, okay, which is other people's money. Use other people's money. So once you know what you're doing, once you know how to find properties, once you know how to invest, once you know how to put capital to use and give a 8 to 10 to 20% return on your property, you can start going out to people and you can start saying, hey, if you invest with me, I can give you a return on your capital. So you start using other people's money. You don't have to use your own. You can go in and you can buy the property and you can borrow the money and give them a return for 10%. And then you can use that money to renovate the property. You can use that money to hold it long term. You can use that money as you're repositioning the house. And then you can either refinance it or you can turn around and sell it, depending on what you want to do with the house. But as long as you have a program and you know what you're doing and you're bringing time and you're bringing management and you're bringing value and you're bringing the deal and you know what you're doing, you can go to your friends and family. You can go to people you know and you can say, hey, I have this opportunity. I can come out here and I can buy this deal. Here's what it looks like. Do you know anybody who's interested? And they might be like, well, I'm interested. I got $75,000 I can lend you. And then you're using other people's money to buy these deals. Okay? To buy these deals, which is incredible. It's incredible. I'm telling you guys, using other people's money can skyrocket you because now you're not limited. You can essentially have an infinite return on your investment. Why? Because you don't have to put any of your own money in. Even if you have a bunch of money in the bank, using other people's money allows you to, in essence, get a full infinite return, which is amazing. And this includes people you know. This could be credit cards. This could be banks. This could be any sources of funding, right? Short term, long term. It doesn't matter what it is. Other people's money is a great way to buy houses with none of your own cash. None of your own cash, which is incredible. All right, the next way to buy property with none of your own money is what's called the BRRRR method, okay? Now, you potentially have to bring money to the table, but what this is you're buying it, you're rehabbing it, you're renting the property, and you're refinancing, and you're repositioning. What you can do is if you buy the property right, you can come in and buy the property, and then you can use other people's money to pay even for the down payment. Then you rehab the property. Then you rent the property out so it's a long-term hold. You don't even necessarily have to rent it out depending on your lender. But if you rent it out, and then you can turn around and refinance. And if you do this right, you can be into the property with none of your own money. None of it, right? If you do it right, and deals that I've done in the past, if you buy it cheap enough, When you're done, you can refinance and you have none of your own cash in the money. Think of how powerful this is. You have a property in your portfolio. It's completely up to date. It's worth $175,000 or $250,000. And then you refinance and you have 25% equity in the property and you have none of your own cash because you bought it cheap enough. This is an incredible way to get into buying houses and not have to bring in your own money. So you might say, well, how do I get the 20 grand up front? Right? How do I do this down payment? You can go out and get a bridge loan. You can go out and get a second lien from somebody at a higher interest rate, at a 15 or 20% interest rate. Heck, you can put it on credit cards. I don't recommend you do that unless you know what you're doing, but you can do a cash withdrawal on your credit cards, especially if your business, if you've been building it correctly, you can pull out $15,000 and you can buy the house that way and get through it, especially if you're going to make, $40, $50, $60, $70,000 on this house flip. Guys, doing the BRRRR method is not just a way of getting rentals and putting 25 grand in the bank, right? People teach that because that's the conservative way. If you have the deal and you buy it right, you can do it and you can be in deals with none of your own money. So now you have no money in, you have cash flow, you have pay down happening, and you're able to accumulate wealth over time with none of your own money in the deal, which is just incredible. And now the last way, now again, I am in the process of doing my first one here. So this is more knowledge than it is actual experience, but I learned it from another guy named Morby on his channel. He explained it to me. And I thought to myself, I was like, oh my gosh, why have I not been doing this for 10 years? Why didn't I not think about this? And this is just another example is, guys, there's a concept called Shoshin where you always want to have a beginner's mindset. People do things that you might not know, okay? People do strategies you might not know. So always open up your mind. But Pace's method, I'm just going to give him credit. He calls it the Morby method. He put it on his own stuff, which is brilliant. And this is what it is. You go in and you talk to the seller. And as you're talking to the seller says, I want to sell for cash. It could be a super nice property. And you say, okay. And they say, I want 250 and it's worth 250. You say, okay, if I brought 60% of the money to the table, okay, if I brought you, 200 grand to the table, would you finance the other $50,000 to me? And it's essentially a way of saying, hey, I'll bring a 60% down payment if you'll finance the rest. Well, then what you do is you go out and you get a loan. And what are they going to cover? They're going to cover 70 to 80% of that purchase amount. Well, the other 50%, you say, okay, Mr. Seller, well, would you be willing to finance the rest of that to me on a second lien on your property, right? And invest in a property you're already familiar with. If they're comfortable, they'll say yes. Well, what you do is you go to the title company, you close on the transaction, you fund the whole deal, right? So the whole deal gets funded at 250, but the title company doesn't fund them their additional 50. They turn around and they create a note and they attach a subordinate lien or a second lien position on the house. And they turn around and send the money back to you. And you now have a second lien on the property with none of your money into it, which is absolutely brilliant. And as long as it cash flows and the rest of the numbers make sense, this is a way of owning a property without having any money in the deal. Actually, you could potentially make money on the purchase, right? If you negotiate it right, let's say you do 60%, funding comes in, does 70, you give 30, you could get 10% of that right at the beginning and you make money for cash flow today, as long as the rest of the numbers work out. And so it's an absolutely brilliant way for you to go in and buy property with none of your own money. So check it out, guys. Real estate is an industry that rewards those who are creative, who put their time in, who think, who work together with people, who bring value to their partners and sellers, and who understand and know the business. I like to say real estate's three things. It's it's knowledge, it's network, and it's leads. So guys, Learn these strategies, figure out what it takes. And these 5 ways are ways you can get involved even if you don't have any of your own cash. Okay? Even if you don't have any of your own cash. So if you want to buy properties with none of your own money, go back to these strategies, learn what they are, pick one, start looking at houses and employ it. Go out there and get a lease option. Start creating joint venture relationships. Start going in and learning subject to owner financing and build a portfolio that could be worth millions of dollars without any of your own cash on the line. Go out there and start figuring out, I'm going to employ the BRRRR method, but I want to buy it at a price that I don't have to put money in. Or go learn about the Morby method and how you can get loans and go out there and structure deals in a way that changes your life and gives you the freedom you want. Till next time, guys. Peace.